Hey guys, Miss Simpson here, and I just wanted to record a quick video for you guys. We are going to go over some things for chapter 9, or chapter 10. I'm sorry, I'm still in chapter 9 mode. For chapter 10. And so the first thing that we're going to be learning about is how to convert measurements. This chapter requires a little bit of memorization when it comes to learning the different conversions and how to convert different measurements. And so the first thing we're going to learn about is customary length. Basically, what that means is measurements that you use in everyday life, which you are probably already familiar with. I'm looking at page 586 right now. I want you to pay close attention to this little chart in the top right. Customary units of length is something that we use every day, such as measuring things in feet, measuring things in yards, or measuring distances by miles. And so when you think of 1 foot, you need to think of a ruler. A ruler typically has 12 inches, which is equal to 1 foot. If you put 3 normal size rulers together, it would equal 1 yard. So you can kind of visualize that. If I put 3 rulers together, end to end, then that would equal 1 yard, which is equivalent to 3 feet. Okay, and then sometimes distances are a lot longer, such as when we're driving in the car, or maybe when we're running. I might want to measure in miles. So sometimes when that's required, occasionally we have to convert miles to feet. So this is a new one that is a little more difficult to remember, but there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So that is an important number to memorize, 5,280 feet in 1 mile. The last one is not as important. It's good to know just to cut down on how much work you have to do. However, you can kind of figure out the conversion without it if you need to, just by dividing by 3. So the most important things to memorize off of this chart is this first one, second one, and this third one. Okay, 12 inches in 1 foot. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay, so important stuff to know. We will be referring back to this chart. I suggest you make yourself like a little sheet with all of the different units of measure that we're going to be studying, because we're going to study customary units of length, customary capacity, metric measurements. So we're going to be studying all these different measurements, and they're all going to add up. So it might be important to come up with a little chart with all the measurements. So these are the type of problems that we are working our way toward. We're converting like miles to yards, yards to feet, inches to feet. So there's one really important thing that I need for you guys to remember when doing this. And this is kind of the basis that will help you know if you need to multiply or if you need to divide. If you are going from big units to small units, that means if I was going from something big like miles and I'm converting it to something small or smaller than miles, maybe like feet. If I was converting miles to feet, when I go from big to small, I multiply. So I'm going to write a time sign there. When you go from small units to big, such as if I was going from feet and I wanted to know how many feet were in X amount of miles, I divide. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that when I look at problem number 1, I'm going from miles to yards. So this miles is bigger than yards. So I might write a B and an S, big to small. So big to small means I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply 2 times something. Now that something comes from our conversions. So there are, if I look back on my conversion chart, there are 1,760 yards in 1 mile. So let's go back down. 1,760 yards in 1 mile. So if there's 1,760 yards in 1 mile, then that is what I'm writing right here, because I know that in 1 mile there's 1,760, but I need to know how many yards are in 2 miles. So I'm going to multiply that out. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So my answer is 3,520 yards. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, so we're looking at number 2. We're going from yards to feet. Once again, yards are bigger than feet. So I'm going from big to small again. So big to small, I multiply. I'm going to multiply 6 times something. How many feet are in 1 yard? 3 feet are in 1 yard. So you're just doing 3 times 6 here, which is one of our multiplication facts we should know. So I can go ahead and just write in 18. On number 3, we are going, this one's kind of complicated because it looks like there's like 3 units here. So on the left is inches, and then on the right is feet and inches. What's happening in this type of problem is you are converting 90 inches into feet, but you are going to have some leftover feet that is not going to be able to make a whole foot. You're going to have some leftover inches. So since we're going from inches to feet, we're actually going from small to big. Small to big, we divide. So I have 90 inches that is going to be divided by something. Well, how many inches are in 1 foot? There are 12 inches in 1 foot. There's 12 inches in 1 foot. So that means I can set up that long division problem. Now you need to ask yourself, how many times does 12 go into 90? 12 goes into 90 7 times. Okay, 7 times 12 is 84. Then you subtract, you have to borrow. So you have 6 left over. This is the really important part. So normally it would be like 7 remainder 6 or whatever, right? Well, the 7 is your holes. It's 7 whole feet, and the remainder is the inches. I know that looks kind of complicated with this other 6 right here, but try to erase that. Okay, there you go. So 7 feet, 6 inches. Okay, we're going to go down a little bit. Oh, wow, sorry. Go down a little bit. You're doing the same thing on 4, 5, and 6. Let's look at an example on number 7 where you are comparing different values. So on number 7, you have 8 feet and you're writing greater than, less than, or equal to 3 yards. So it is really important to compare apples to apples. What do I mean by that? Comparing apples to apples means you're comparing the same units to the same units. Right now we have like apples and oranges. We have feet and yards, 2 totally different things. So you need to convert it to where you're either comparing feet to feet or you're comparing yards to yards. I personally like to always change the bigger unit because then you multiply. Long division can get really complicated. I personally think we are a lot better as a whole at multiplying. So I would suggest if multiplying is more so your jam versus long division, then change the bigger unit because then you're multiplying. So what do I mean by that? I mean that since I have feet and I have yards is the bigger one, so I'm going to change those yards to feet. How many feet are in 1 yard? 3. When you're changing big to small, remember you multiply, so 3 times 3 is 9. So if I mark this out, I make this 9 feet. I'm now comparing apples to apples. I'm comparing the same units to the same units, feet to feet. Which one's bigger, 8 or 9? 9 is bigger, so the Pac-Man eats the 9. If you look at the second one, or sorry, not second one, number 8, you have miles and feet. I want you to pick out the bigger unit. Which one's bigger, miles or feet? Miles are bigger. So you're going to convert miles to feet. That means you're going to do 2 times whatever that conversion is, which there are 5,280. And if you're wondering where I'm just pulling these numbers from, they're not random. They are from this chart right here that you can refer back to. 5,280, you're multiplying that out. 16, that's 5, that's 10. So I have 10,560. Which one's bigger? Boom. Okay. All of the problems in this chapter are actually very much like this. You're just changing the units. So please watch this video to help you with page 589. Thanks, guys.